We go back to August the 23rd, 2021, when whistleblower and one of the brave heroines of South Africa, Babita Deokaran, was brutally gunned down in a driveway after dropping her daughter off at school. Now, even though the 6 men were sentenced to prison terms ranging from 6 to 22 years for her murder, the masterminds behind this heinous act remain unidentified. The Deokaran family says that they will never get over this loss and have on many occasions called for the masterminds behind her murder to be exposed. Joining me now, as I mentioned, I'd like to welcome Rakesh Deokaran. Rakesh, good day. Thank you so much for joining us here on Talking Point on Hilaal TV.
Thank you, Farah. Thank you for having me.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. Rakesh, and I'm sure you and the rest of the family were watching that SIU press conference, and it would be hard to remiss not thinking of Babita at that time, because everything that she had flagged was based on that report right over there. Talk to us about it and just how important was that moment, not just for the family, but for those South Africans who are standing up for truth in these difficult times.
So, for us to answer your question, okay? So, what hurt us the most is that when it started with regards to Babita, it started at under $1 billion. And when the SIU report came out, it was around $2 billion. So, for us, that means even thereafter, it was still going on. The corruption was still going on. Nobody was scared, to take chances and to continue with what they were doing. For them, it felt like, yes, this woman is gone and nothing will happen thereafter. And that's the sad part for us.
And that's the thing, Rakesh, is that when we see that obviously it was R1 billion at the time that Babita had exposed, we now have an amount of R2 billion. And the scary part to this is that this is just the interim report. How much more could be uncovered? I mean, this could range to higher numbers. And again, this is just scratching the surface of what we had seen in this hospital alone.
For us, to be honest with you, Tembisa Hospital, it's a fairly small hospital. So, oh gosh, we don't even want to know the staggering amount that it could end up to if they have to audit the likes of Steve Biko, Charlotte Makeke, Chris Bara. And that would honestly and truly be such an injustice to our society and to the people of South Africa.
Yeah, and I think you've hit the nail on the head there, because we really don't know what is occurring at some of these hospitals right now. And given that we have a public health system which is not really in a good space at this very moment. And there again lies it, because it needed Babita to really lit the fire of what we are seeing right now in many public facilities, especially when it comes to health. Health, which is a duty within the Constitution, a right as per our Constitution. And we have individuals who are taking advantage of this, especially when it comes to the tender systems which we have in our country.
Correct. As Jeff Wick had exposed initially, and he basically gave them the groundwork, which they did not follow up on. And it's now 4 years later whereby everything is coming to the fore. Well, as usual, it's better late than never. Because when it came to Babita, I think they thought, you know what, let's just get this over and done with and nothing will happen thereafter. But they did not realize the impact that it will have on this country. Like, just if we look at Tembisa Hospital on its own, I would hate to think in that period of time, or whichever period of time, the amount of children that probably lost their lives, the amount of elderly people that lost their lives, and why? All because of greed. and for self-gain for certain individuals. That on its own, us as South Africans, well, I'm glad, yes, she gave her heart and soul for this country, and whatever happened, happened. We cannot change that. But going forward, hopefully, and I pray to God that it will change now.
And just like what Babita had flagged, many other whistleblowers, whether it's in other state-owned enterprise entities, have been saying that these are supposed to be monies for services for the public. And I want to take health because, again, as per the Constitution, every South African has the right to effective and good health. And when you see Tembisa hospitals and many other facilities like that, people have to wait hours just to get the basic of services. And when you have individuals who are looting from as high as 800 million rand to even 100,000 rand, we see that this is not about the service of South African people, especially the poor of this country. This is about self-gain. And this is a sad indictment of where we are right now in the country.
Correct, 100%. Because remember, we're 31 years into democracy. What have we changed? We've changed absolutely nothing here. Absolutely nothing. We've just went backwards, to be honest. When you use the word healthcare is a basic right to any and every individual. Not just in this country, anywhere in this world. Basic healthcare is a necessity.
Exactly.
And I can't remember what you said now, but our whole system has been compromised.
What I had said, Rakesh, is that we've got alleged individuals from as high as 800 million rand to those at 100,000 rand. So it just, again, wasn't one person. This was a whole network of syndicates, which Babita had mentioned back then with regards to this.
Yes, she did. And she put names on the table as well. But at that point in time, nothing was being done. And, I'm grateful to the media, especially Jeff Wicks. He put his own life on the line to carry this forward. And not even him as well, not just for personal gain, but because of the love for this country and the love for the citizens of this country. Everyone needs to have a voice here. And I always say, we put them into where they are with trust. But as it stands at this current moment in time, all trust has been broken.
And Rakesh, just before we go to the break, this is the question I want to end off with, because we've seen, of course, the Premier of Gauteng, Panyaza Lesufi. You've seen the Minister of Health, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi, saying that they will cooperate with all the investigating authorities to try and bring those to book. Is the Deokaran family buying into this? Are you confident that this is going to happen? Because I would like to think that the criminal justice system, even though the wheels are very slow, it will happen. But what does the Deokaran family feel with regards to this, especially when this is a looting that is, again, with an interim report sitting on 2 billion rand? Who knows how much more could be taken if other reports come from this hospital specifically?
From this hospital specifically, I hope and I pray that, remember you mentioned earlier, the 6 guys were convicted, but we have stipulated from the outset, we are not interested in them. The hitman does not hire himself. Our only interest lies in the mastermind or masterminds. There are names being thrown around now. All we want is a precedent to be set in this country. If a precedent is not set here, people will just carry on willy-nilly and do what they want to, because they know there will not be punishment. Because when I say a precedent, we want heads to roll. People must be arrested. You must feel the true wrath of justice. From monetary perspective, remember, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And this is just a small institution that we are dealing with and talking about. And I previously said, and I will reiterate on my statement, our country has been compromised here. Be it Department of Health or any other department. So it's basically how it seems and how it stands right now. Let the rich get richer. Let the poor stay poor. And if that is going to be the conclusion of this country, it's rather a pity, but we can never move forward. We can never move.
Well, after the break, I'm going to continue my conversation with Rakesh Deokaran. We're going to be touching just on how Babita's flagging, her bravery, and her love for her country has really showed how broken many facilities are within this country. And, of course, her life being taken in the most tragic way. My conversation wraps up with Rakesh after this break. Welcome back to Talking About. I'm still in conversation with Rakesh Deokaran, the brother of murdered whistleblower Babita Deokaran. Again, Rakesh, thank you for staying with us. Rakesh, when we look at the life of Babita, it's one where her service to her country was first and foremost the priority for her. As an individual, and of course, you know, as the brother, what was it about Babita that made her want to say, it's time the country knows of the rot that we are experiencing, especially in Tembisa Hospital, and what this could have set a precedence for other looting at potential other facilities?
So for us to answer that question, she never ever spoke to us about work. And that's the honest truth. Like the Sunday, it happened on that Monday morning, right? The whole of Sunday, she was with me. Yes, she was working and whatever, but she was at my place. And we're not far from each other. And not knowing I will not see her again the Monday. She never once stipulated or said to us, you know what, this is what is happening here, and this is what I'm trying to fix. And only thereafter did we realize the extent of it. Initially, in that morning when I went there as well, I honestly and truly thought this was just like a robbery or a hijacking. And only thereafter I came to realize, you know, the extent of what she was trying to uncover. Alternately, I would have tried to protect her on my own self. She did request, there it came out that she did request, you know, or she did stipulate her life was in danger. And but not to us, not to us. So the people that she did stipulate to, they did nothing about it, and that's what hurt us the most.
Yeah, and I think, you know, Rakesh, that in itself, that she mentioning it to, of course, colleagues or relevant authorities, the fact that nothing was being done, just shows that, number one, they were not really taking her mentioning of this seriously, and number two, they probably knew what was going on, but didn't want to say anything because they thought they could have had the same faith as Babita. And that again brings in the question of integrity within this country. But that's something that Babita had. She had the integrity to say, no, this cannot happen under our watch. And given that we were at a time of COVID-19, the health system was probably the most important aspect within our country. And one would think that's what Babita thought at that moment. Protect an institution within our country that is needed, given that we are in a pandemic at this moment.
So the only people that she advised, I would think, were also involved. Hence, there was nothing done about it. And like the CFO I'm not sure if I can mention name, but I'm willing to mention it. Her name is Lerato Maggio. She is the one that Babita advised. And her message back to Babita was, it's okay, I've escalated it to the HOD. But when Jeff Wick spoke to the HOD said to him, nothing came to her. So there was involvement involved from, I don't know, from minimal scale to top level. I don't know how the hierarchy works.
Yeah, one would like to think that either the HOD is lying about being told about this, or actually, you've mentioned the CFO's name, Lerato Maggio, probably never told her anything. Whether that's the case, it just shows that the sense of accountability, number one, is not really being affected right here. And Babita wanted that accountability to occur. And unfortunately, this is the result of where we are right now. She could not be assisted in that.
She definitely was not. Because she did explain, and she did say, on the WhatsApp message, she did say, you know what, I think our lives are at stake here. But nothing was done. Because hence I said, you know what, it's, if you are involved into something, you just stay away and you say, okay, it's noted, basically. I acknowledge. And that's it. But you do nothing about it.
Rakesh, how much has Babita's bravery, her ability to say, we are going to make the change, even if it's that small, had an effect amongst whistleblowers? I've spoken to many whistleblowers on various shows, and they've always seen Babita's heroism as the benchmark of exposing state facilities and the rot that is in there. As a family, how do you take solace knowing that Babita is being put on such a high pedestal? And it is quite tragic and sad that she's not with us at this moment. Because don't we need individuals like Babita to stand up, an ordinary citizen, to say, not on our watch are we going to see our country really decay with looting, corruption, and other bad mannerisms within our society?
Yes, we have lost her. But one thing for sure, we admire her bravery. And she did it on her own. As I said to you, she never ever spoke to us about anything. With regards to heroism, well, it's up to the individual to decide, whether she was a hero. But in our eyes, she will always be a hero. She will always be a hero. And what she stood for is our culture, our creed, our beliefs, and the good footing and the good standings that we come from.
Well, I certainly put Babita as a hero of the country. And of course, as a media practitioner, we've been asked to, practice the idea of neutrality. But Babita is a fellow South African. And I feel that anyone that exposes, because it's our job also within the media to say, we need to expose the bad that is happening within our country. And she stood up to say, I'm going to be that very same individual to expose the bad within that country. And again, it's sad, it's unfortunate that we do not have Babita here. But again, Rakesh, my question to you is, as a family, is there an expectation of more to be done from the higher levels of government, especially that of national government? I'm speaking with regards to President Cyril Ramaphosa himself, because we see statements being done. We see words being said. Of course, praise for Babita and what she had done. But should more be done? For example, you listen to and you hear what the National Prosecuting Authority had said, that they do not have the resources to go ahead and deliver prosecutions on crimes like this, or even that of the State Capture Commission. And when I spoke to Accountability Now's advocate Paul Hoffman, he had said that the NPA was on a life support machine. And that's a very scary scenario as South Africans at this moment, because if a higher authority like the NPA does not have funds, then catching the masterminds who murdered Babita is going to be very difficult.
So, remember, she has set a precedent on her own, even though she is not here. She has left something for this country that needs to be followed upon. Be it national government, be it the NPA, be it the SIU. So far, they've done what they promised they are going to do. But I've even advised them the buck does not end here. It goes deeper and it goes further. How much further is our own government willing to take this? That is what lies upon. And I would always say, next year comes local elections, and 2028 is national elections. Anyone and everyone that is listening, be careful and be wary of where you put your eggs. That would be prioritization for Babita. She knew single-handedly she could not change the whole country. But if you just change one portion of it, and if that portion follows the lead, this country would be back to the beautiful South Africa that we know.
Rakesh, one final question. How is the family holding up, especially the kids of Babita?
So for us, remember, we try to go on with life, but what has been taken from us can never be replaced. She was the motherly figure to all of us, from small to big. Any advice, any guidance, she was the go-to person. And after the airport on Monday, it opened deeper wounds for me. To understand and realize this is such a big thing that has just happened, and actually a catastrophe for South Africa. It honestly and truly is. But we will always admire her, we will always respect her, and her beliefs will carry a lot of people going forward in life if you try and for her part life.
Rakesh.
And the only path to follow is the right path. Don't do wrong in life.
I think you've ended off on a perfect note there, be on the right path, and I couldn't disagree more with you there, Rakesh. Rakesh, absolute pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for joining us here on Talking Point on Hilaal TV.
No problem. Thank you very much, Farah.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. That's Rakesh Deokaran,
Yeah.
the brother of the slain whistleblower, a hero of South Africa, Babita Deokaran. Well, that's all we have for you on Talking Point. From myself, Faraz Patel, and the rest of the team in Johannesburg. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.